23rd, Richmond Regional Transportation Planning Organization Policy Board meeting. If you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, we'll get started. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And Ms. Cruz, if you will certify our quorum and take a roll call, please.
Town of Ashland, Mr. Malloy.
Here.
Charles City County, Mr. Patterson. Chesterfield County, Mr. Carroll. Ms. Schneider. Here. Dr. Miller. Dr. Hilton.
Here.
Goochland County, Mr. Lyle.
Present.
Mr. Vaughters. Hanover County, Mr. Davis. Ms. Pritchard. Mr. Hudson. Henrico County, Reverend Cooper. Chair Rogish.
Here.
Mr. Schmidt. New Kent County, Mr. Moyer.
Here.
Ms. Stewart. Powhatan County, Mr. Kinney. Ms. Morissette. Mr. McClung. Mr. Powers. City of Richmond, Mr. Breton.
Here.
Dr. Newbell.
Here.
Capital Regional Airport Commission, Mr. Rutledge. GRTC, Ms. Torres. Ms. Adams. RMTA, Ms. Dean. VDOT, Mr. Totten.
Here.
Mr. Riblett. CTAC, Mr. Dixon. Mr. Walton. Department of Aviation, Ms. Smiley. Mr. Smiley, I'm sorry. DRPT, Mr. Hudson.
Here.
Ms. Dubinsky. Federal Transit Administration, Mr. Koenig. CVTA, Mr. Parsons.
Here.
Federal Highway Administration, Mr. Ofori. Mr. Rucker.
Present.
Ride Finders, Ms. Ruffin.
Here.
And Mr. O'Keefe. Okay, and I just saw Ms. Torres came in and we should be good.
You have Mr. Davis and Reverend Cooper.
Yes, I do have Sean Davis and Reverend Cooper. We are good. We have four.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. I don't have any requests for participation online. Is that correct from members? Right. Consideration to amendments to the agenda. I do have one. I'd like to request that 6D, the meeting dates will be pulled out of the consent agenda, and we'll vote on that separately. We have a slight change to that. So I do need a motion to move that out of the consent. So moved by Dr. Newbill, seconded by Ms. Schneider. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. We will move that right after outside the consent item. Any other considerations to the agenda today? Seeing none. This is a public meeting, and this will be the time to make public comments. And I do believe we have some people that are going to make some public comments. I would like to just give if you're online and you're wanting to make public comments, if you'll please put that into the chat so that Sid can cue you appropriately. We'll do the people in person first, and then we'll take public comment from those that are online. Just a reminder to everyone in this meeting, we give 3 minutes for public comment, and we'll be doing, again, if you're here in person for public comment, you can sign up or you can let us know. You'll be doing that at the lectern there, and then we'll do the folks online. This will be, we have a very packed agenda today. This will be the only time that we will hear from the public. So if you're looking to comment on anything inside of the agenda, this is the time to do it for those that are here in person and or online. So with that, I'm sorry, ma'am. Yeah, there's one person that's here in person. With that, we'll start with that person for public comment. And I don't have the list, so I don't know the name, but Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Tim Pollard. I'm a Richmond City resident and I work for the Partnership for Smart Growth. We're a nonpartisan nonprofit that educates and advocates for Richmond region that plans sustainably, grows inclusively, and connects communities. I'm here today to speak specifically to the long-term transportation plan. We believe that everyone in the region deserves safe and healthy options for how they get around, whether that be riding a bus, driving a car, walking, or biking. And as such, we strongly encourage this board to adopt the mode shift option in the LRTP. We applaud the numerous bus rapid transit lines and the regional shared use paths in the mode shift scenario, and continue to strongly encourage that in future LRTPs, a greater portion of the planned funding goes to modal transportation like this. Biking and pedestrian and public transit infrastructure projects allow for our region to be healthier and for people to move around as they please, and also allows for sustainable economic growth. We would love to participate in future conversations around the LRTP, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that's here in person that would like to make any public comments? Okay, seeing none. So Sid, if you'll cue the person online.
Hi, can you all hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Good morning, board members. My name is Kevin Sanforini. I'm a resident of Richmond City's Fulton Hill neighborhood, and I'm also a co-lead with Climate Change Makers RVA. We are a nonpartisan organization that advocates for positive climate policies across Greater Richmond. I'm urging you to accept the mode shift long-range transportation scenario. In Virginia, transportation accounts for nearly half of the state's climate pollution, and increasing usage of public transit and active transportation are two of the most cost-effective climate solutions we can implement. On a more personal note, I care about our region's transportation future because I'm a new dad. I want my child to grow up in a place where they have agency over where they live. Our current transportation system robs our children of their freedom to move through our communities without a chauffeur. A robust public transit system in Central Virginia would not only be climate positive, but also good for our youth. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. And again, I'm urging you to please accept the mode shift transportation planning scenario. Thank you.
Thank you. It's Chris. Sid, you have somebody else, right?
Yeah, sorry, I realized I did not unmute. Can you all hear me okay?
We can, yes.
Great. Good morning, members of the board. My name is Chris Curtis, and I'm a Midlothian resident. I would like to urge y'all to support the mode shift long-range transportation scenario. As the weather has gotten warmer, I've noticed that there are too many people being forced to walk or bike on Midlothian Turnpike because we haven't invested enough in sidewalks or bike lanes. This is dangerous for both the pedestrians that are walking and biking, as well as for us that are driving on the turnpike. I think this mode shift scenario gives us a good opportunity to make Midlothian safer and healthier by giving people the safety to walk and bike as they please. Additionally, my wife works at an autism clinic just off of Carey Street in Richmond. Investing in this mode shift scenario would give her and so many of our neighbors who work in Richmond the ability to ride the bus to and from work, which would save us, a lot on gas and just the upkeep on her car. In Richmond, the kids that my wife works with have the freedom and safety to walk to the park and enjoy the pleasant weather. I think it's only fair that children in Midlothian have the same opportunity to walk to their favorite parks in safety. Thank you for your time and allowing me to speak this morning, and I urge you to support the mode shift scenario.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis. Keith?
Good morning, board members. My name is Keith Herbert. I've been a Richmond City resident for nearly 15 years and just moved my wife to Fulton Hill. I'm asking you to accept the mode shift, a long-term plan. As our population grows, so will the traffic on our streets. Mass transit and separated bike lanes are the most efficient ways to lose our limited street space and do not require expensive and limiting parking spaces. I'm sure you've all tried to circle around a block a few times to find one downtown. I'm a big fan of the GRTC, especially the Pulse, and ride the bus whenever it's practical. But the service in my home and often my destinations away from the Pulse corridor only runs once an hour. This makes it slower than biking across the entire city and less practical than driving, which adds to traffic for everyone else and takes up parking spaces. I'm sure thousands of other residents feel the same way and would take mass transit if it was as reliable and frequent as a pulse across the whole city, thanks to the transfer stations and pulse lines that the mode shift plan has. This would be a huge benefit as well for those who can't drive or bike up steep hills. And for long-term planning, we need to be prepared for an end to cheap gas. It is very possible that more wars into the petrodollar and other geopolitical events or natural disasters could suddenly, overnight, make private vehicle travel much more expensive. For the long-term health of our community, we need to have infrastructure already in place so that sudden spikes in fuel costs don't leave people stranded, unable to afford to commute to work or run errands. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's everyone that online, correct? Yes. Okay. I'd like to thank the residents from the locality that spoke today. Having good public input is important. So at this time, seeing no further public comments, we will close the public comment period. Thank you. On the consent agenda, we have, again, we moved item 6D off the consent agenda, but we have A, B, and C, approval of the meeting minutes from the March 5th. We have 27 to 30 TIP long-term conformity report, and we have the 24-27 TIP amendment on the UPC 50529. So I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
So moved. Are there any questions? Seconded by Mr. Lau. Sorry, I'm seconded by Mr. Davis. I apologize. Any questions? Comments? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Consent agenda is approved. On the meeting dates for 2027 in your packet, we're going to make a slight adjustment. We are going to, with the recommendation, we're going to add a June 3rd of 2027 date onto this. We are also going to suggest if needed, a June 11th, 2026 virtual only meeting date. And that would be in case we need to approve any TIP amendments for 2026. So again, on the, you have listed in your packet the dates for the next next year. We're going to add 2 dates this year. In 2026, we'll add a June 11th virtual only meeting. And the reason that is there's already a Plan RVA meeting virtual only. So if we need to tack on a TPO meeting after that, we'll do that. And then adding on a June 3rd, 2027 date. Make sense? Any questions? I do need a motion on that particular item.
So moved. Second.
Okay, moved by Ms. Schneider, second by Dr. Newbill. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, meeting dates for 2027 and one additional possibility, 2026 has been approved. Thank you all. We have a DRPT spotlight and introduction this morning. So I will turn that over. Welcome the new director, Ms. Zimmerman. Go ahead.
Thanks very much, Mr. Chair. And I live in your district in Henrico. So it's great to be here with you all. Yes, my family, we moved to Henrico in 2015. We lived up in Arlington before that. So some of you, Martha and others, it's nice to see you again in my new role here as DRPT director. I have been a long time fan and advocate of rail and transportation and housing options. Some of you I've worked with on housing issues in the past, Dr. Newbill, and worked with Plan RVA on looking at regional housing needs and issues. But a lot of my career has been in transportation. We actually, my husband and I moved to Virginia from Minnesota many moons ago now, and I worked at the Federal Transit Administration. Over the years, I also worked at HUD, and most recently was at USDOT working with Secretary Buttigieg. But I also, in between the federal time, have had my own planning firm working on housing, transportation, and economic development issues. And so it's really great to be here in this new role and with the new administration. I think we're, I'm biased perhaps, but I think we're very lucky to have Secretary Donahue, who's a longtime Richmonder and really has incredible knowledge and support for transportation issues across Commonwealth. Really, I think we couldn't ask for a better secretary, given he has worked on a lot of the state policies that we have today for how we fund transportation, and certainly Governor Spanberger, who is a strong advocate as well. Transportation is one of those issues, though, that I always think is hopefully will continue continue to be rather bipartisan. We all care about the infrastructure in our communities and know how important it is to keeping people and our economy moving. So sort of regardless of party, we really believe in those investments. So happy to be part of that. So I have, can we go to the next slide? Just a few things for folks. Hopefully everyone is familiar, but the Department of Rail and Public Transportation really is just what it sounds like. It is the Department of Rail and Public Transportation. So we are our own agency. We're not part of VDOT. We are separate and we work very closely with VDOT and the other parts of the Secretarial Cabinet there working on transportation issues. We allocate state funding for transportation, and just earlier this week on Monday, we rolled out with VDOT the draft 6-year investment program. We will be having a hearing here for the Richmond district on May 11th in Colonial Heights at 4 p.m. at the VDOT facility out there. I did bring a little copy that's out front and have a slide here at the end that talks a little bit more about it. We have that hearing. We're going to be doing at DRPT a virtual hearing on May 27th just to talk about the transit and the rail portions. But we know here in this region, we help to fund GRTC. We provide operating assistance, and we also have capital investments that we're proposing this year, including to continue expansion of the Pulse Corridor and some other important regional priorities for transit. So that funding piece is an important role that we play. We also are responsible for a number of statewide studies. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Both rail study that we have underway, but we're also planning later this year to kick off a statewide transit transformation study that will really look at kind of different scenarios for how we as a state, just at the way we've been transforming rail, we can think about ways to be transforming transit across the state as we're continuing to see a lot of challenges on the capital and the operating side. I know folks are feeling personally the pinch of high gas prices. Imagine you're a transit agency and you are having vehicles and you know, hopefully we're electrifying some of that fleet, but we still have a lot of our agencies that the gas price is pinching, and folks who are still dealing with costs of tariffs or not tariffs, supply chain issues. We've had changes in the bus manufacturing side. So really kind of trying to grapple with some of these issues and just also recognize we have an aging population, so we have different changing transit and transportation needs, and we have congestion that really, as folks were just mentioning, how we think about multimodal options, both to help move people, give them affordable transportation choices, but also transit is a great solution to addressing congestion issues, and it is the safest mode of transportation as well. So we're excited to kind of kick off those studies. So you know Tiffany, you know Wood, you know others on our staff who are here to help you with those, be a resource to you, work with you on the MPO planning processes that are required at the federal level as well. So we're excited to continue that. Next slide, please. Very kind of briefly, oops, that's a little tricky to read, but hopefully folks can see. We have our agency priorities that are not only for this year, but really kind of looking out over the next 4 years. I won't read all this text to you, but kind of the long and the short of it is we really want to be doing everything that we can to be growing transit ridership, helping agencies with those cost efficiencies and growing revenues, making sure that transit and rail transportation remains safe, reliable, and affordable for all communities across the Commonwealth. We're going to be focusing over the next few years to try to help Northern Virginia move forward with some of their big regional priority projects. They've been talking about bus rapid transit for a long time and kind of looking here at Richmond with envy with the Pulse. And so opportunities that we can both in Richmond, in Northern Virginia, and hopefully potentially in Hampton Roads as well, really look at ways that we can accelerate some of those regional priority transit projects. We are also, as part of this, currently in the process of reviewing how we allocate transit capital and operating funds through the state formula funding. So that's our merit program. And so we hope folks will take a look at that. Our goal is to really try to make it a more transparent, stable source of funding that folks can kind of look at and transit agencies can better program with those dollars going forward. We have kicked off the statewide rail plan. This is a required, well, We in Virginia require this every 4 years. The federal government has guidance that comes out through the FRA for this, but it really creates our I won't say a roadmap, I'll say our route map of what are those investments in rail on the freight side and on the passenger rail side as we look out over the next 20-year horizon with that plan. So a lot of public involvement that we'll be doing with that. And then perhaps as evidenced by my bio, I'm always very interested. Transit only works as well as the land use around it. And so how do we think about opportunities to support transit-oriented development, look at opportunities to increase housing, opportunities and options around some of our heavy high-frequency transit corridors, around our rail stations. This is kind of a new area for us at DRPT. We know that those local land use issues are local. So how can we work with localities and with transit agencies to provide some planning support, some technical assistance, but also really understand we have some great models across Virginia. We've seen it in Scott's Addition with development that's been going up around the Pulse and other corridors. So how do we think about doing more that really does help to build ridership, create value that in some instances transit agencies are kind of able to capture that value to help fund transit as well. And last but not least, we're doing a lot just sort of internally as well to really look at ways that, again, we can better partner with our agencies to make sure the monies that we are allocating are getting spent and moving forward and projects are not being delayed. So next slide, please. I mentioned some of this already, so I won't belabor it, but on the TOD front, in the General Assembly, there was language that is directing DRPT to do a statewide TOD study, transit-oriented development study. So we are looking forward to kind of doing that in partnership with the Department of Housing and Community Development. And part of that will be looking at some of the great plans that have already been done in different regions for different corridors, kind of pulling those together. So I know, for instance, Henrico has been looking at TOD issues along the Pulse corridor, the city of Richmond with their plans. So kind of how do we look and build off of some of the planning that's already happened? So very hopeful that we can partner with Plan RVA on that as we think about regional housing studies that have happened here and housing needs. But also how can we look at some of the emerging corridors and again, think about opportunities. The Virginia Railway Express, VRE, is also in the midst of doing a TOD study. So again, how do we bring and pull those pieces together and think about moving that forward? I mentioned GRTC and investments that we're making into the system here. That includes in our 6-year investment plan, $23.1 million for the western extension of the Pulse, which we're proposing that we'll be allocating that about $5.78 million annually over the next 4 years. We also have funding in there proposed $2.2 million to study the north-south extension of the BRT for engineering and design work, and then additional funding for some microtransit projects for Broad Rock, for the Powhatan microtransit county study, and for Ashland to kind of continue those microtransit studies. We kind of funded some demos, and so we're looking to support scaling those out through our TRIP program. And then, as mentioned, we also provide operating support for GRTC. Almost $21 million is proposed for fiscal year 27. So that's an important partnership with CVTA, who's also providing funds for GRTC in addition to local resources. So that's a little bit on the GRTC side. We will be working with them again. As folks here know very well, the extension of the Pulse, these are complicated transit projects. And so how can we best coordinate with VDOT, with GRTC, with the localities to be getting sure that that project works through some of the challenges and issues and can move forward quickly. And then with VPRA, the Virginia Passenger Rail Authority, DRPT, funds VPRA, or the funding comes from the state Commonwealth Transportation Fund. I'm the chair of the VPRA board. And so we have a lot of exciting things that are happening as we continue transforming rail in Virginia. I know for this region, I'm someone who rides Amtrak a lot. And so it's been a little hard seeing a few of those trains that are not currently in service because of the construction window. But I encourage folks, the bus is actually, we're lucky here in Richmond, we have a nonstop bus daily that goes from Richmond to DC. Actually, secret, it's a little quicker than the train was because it's just a direct and it's timed with the toll roads. We at DRPT, we also run what's called the Virginia Breeze. That is an intercity bus service. We also have direct route every day from Main Street Station up to Union Station in Washington, DC. On the Virginia Breeze, also this week, we just started a new 5th route. So you can take the Breeze, the intercity bus, and it's a pretty nice bus. It's got Wi-Fi, it's got a bathroom in the bus, you can store luggage, you can put a bike under it. You can go from Richmond, Main Street Station, to Richmond International Airport, to Williamsburg, to Norfolk, to right down to Virginia Beach, or you can go the other direction, go to Charlottesville, go to Harrisonburg. So again, we're really excited to open up that new first east-west route that we have on the Breeze. And then last but not least, you know, we're always excited to be a non-voting member of CVTA, but working in partnership together between the state and the region and localities. So thank you, Chad, for that. Next slide, I will wrap it up here really quickly, I promise. So I mentioned we have a lot of plans and efforts that are underway. So definitely encourage those of you who haven't had a chance yet, or even if you have, you know, keep your comments coming on our statewide rail plan. We will be working on this all through the summer. We are going to be having a virtual town hall meeting on June 1st. I think the next slide maybe has information on that, but encourage you to do that. If you're a real rail junkie and just can't get enough about what's happening with rail in Virginia, the Virginia High-Speed Rail Association did a webinar a couple weeks ago with myself, DJ Statler, the Executive Director of Virginia Passenger Rail Authority, and with Kate Cho, who's the new Executive Director of VRE. And then, as mentioned, we are working to update the state formulas for how we allocate transit, operating, and capital funding through our merit process. So we're doing a lot of outreach and hoping to hear from folks on that. And then next slide, which is my last slide. As I mentioned, these public meetings that are coming up. Again, if you want to hear a lot more about VDOT's investments and our investments and weigh in on the 6-year improvement investment plan, that meeting will be on May 11th in Colonial Heights. And then our virtual transit rail focused one on May 27th. And then our statewide rail plan meeting. So those are all the highlights, lots going on, and would love to be working with you on any of this. I'm a huge fan and believer of MPOs and have worked with a lot of MPOs and regional planning agencies around the country. So my heart is always with regionalism. I think that's the secret sauce that gets things done. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Zimmerman, for that very detailed report. It's nice to meet you, and thank you for bringing that to our attention. I learned a lot there. The east-west bus route to Charlottesville, Harrisonburg, going down to Virginia Beach. I think the Breeze, that's a great thing. Also, like what you said, that Northern Virginia was a little jealous of us on our BRT, so that's also great as well. So. The dates for the, just for all localities, you know, try to share those dates with some of your residents. So again, the more that we hear and can provide feedback to the rail, I think that's excellent. Any questions from the commission for Ms. Zimmerman? Okay, seeing none. Thank you so much. Appreciate that update. Thank you. Mr. Hudson, you'll have a detailed report like that every time now. So. You do a fantastic job. Thank you.
Well, I will say on that, we, so you will see, I think in your packet, the director's monthly report. That's something I share with the Commonwealth Transportation Board every month. And we thought, why not just share that with the various MPOs, boards and commissions, so you can see what we're saying and what we're up to. We're happy to spotlight good things that are happening all across the Commonwealth. So feel free to be a contributor to that report as well. So yes, we won't be taking as much time, but we want to make sure, each month, what's going on at the state level with DRPT.
Good, thank you. Keep up the great work. Thank you. Okay, moving on to agenda item, regional planning for B, Pathways to the Future, Transportation 2050, the Constrained Plan Project, conformity. Mr. Allen will be presenting for that. It's on page 22.
All right, good morning, Chair Rogish and Policy Board. Thank you for your time today. I will be discussing the 2050 LRTP Constrained Long Range Plan and Air Quality Conformity Initiation. So the LRTP is a core document of the MPO that reflects the vision, goals, objectives, and transportation planning and programming over a 20-year horizon. This is in line with the cyclical transportation planning process that seeks to identify issues and solutions, prioritize solutions based on their effectiveness in meeting regional goals, fund these solutions in the form of tangible projects, authorize and implement projects, and evaluate outcomes. We will be discussing the funding, authorization, and implementation of these projects within the LRTP. A major component of the LRTP is a fiscally constrained plan that demonstrates how transportation projects can be implemented with identified and available public-private resources through a 20-year LRTP horizon. There are three main components to the 2050 constrained plan: expected revenue projection from VDOT, DRPT, and GRTC, maintenance and operating programming that serves to preserve the current transportation system, and a list of projects to be implemented over the 20-year horizon. So here we have the projected revenues out to 2050. Highway funds equal up to $26.7 billion from VDOT. Transit funds total $4.8 billion from GRTC and DRPT. So we have a total of $31.5 billion for the region over the next 20 years. This is a breakdown of the money that is coming into the region. This is budget allocations. So 57%, or approximately $18 billion, is used for system maintenance and operations. This includes repaving, transit-related maintenance, and overall system preservation. 13%, or approximately $4 billion, is used for local and transit-related allocations and can include smaller scale projects such as sidewalk projects, roundabouts, and transit improvements. So for the region, we're left with 30% of the total projected revenue, or approximately $9.5 billion. $1.6 billion will go to already committed projects. So we are left with $7.9 billion available for new constrained projects. So how was the constrained plan developed? Historically, the constrained long range plan has been developed using a single recommended plan, refined by localities and the advisory work group. However, keeping in mind the importance in previous work with scenario planning, we wanted our current approach to reflect the fact that there is great uncertainty over the next 20 years. So we need to have the approach that can be robust and applicative to multiple possible futures. In doing so, we wanted to take a step back from individual project level analysis and look at what exactly it is that we want to achieve with an entire list of projects. So we came up with 4 scenarios that employed a combination of cost-benefit based funding allocations, benefit score allocations, and hard caps on specific modes of transportation to allow for a more diverse array of projects. So as you can see here in scenario A, we have our traditional usage. This reflects recent historical trends within our 6-year improvement program and CBTA program. Allocations are split 70% highway and 30% multimodal projects. Our scenario B, as you heard earlier, is our mode shift, which focuses on reducing car dependency. With this scenario, we wanted to increase our multimodal funding by 50%, so we will get to a 55%, 45% split. This tracks closer to 60 to 40% due to high indivisible costs of major transit projects. In scenario C, our transformative scenario, this is a benefit only scenario, which prioritizes the highest benefit scores regardless of mode. The outcome is fewer projects overall, but larger in scale and individual regional impact. And finally, we have our scenario D, our cost-effective scenario. So there is no dedicated mode split with this, and this results in a larger number of smaller, efficient projects mixed with selective high-value, larger ones. So in each scenario, once scores were prioritized, money was allocated based on cost of the project until project ceiling was reached. Two main pieces of information were shared with key stakeholders in this process. A GIS story map including all projects within the universe of projects and specific projects within the investment scenarios, as well as respective lists of projects for each scenario. To focus our feedback, we asked stakeholders, is the modal split correct? Are projects distributed fairly across the region? And does it support safety, sustainability, reliability, and resiliency? A vital component of our investment package selection was the public engagement period, which lasted between February and April. We used this opportunity to inform the public about why we need to develop a fiscally constrained project list as part of the LRTP process and how we score projects based on regional goals and objectives to meet that need. We also wanted to inform the public that this was their opportunity to essentially shape the projects that they'll see within the next decade or two. So I want to take a step back and understand that the LRTP is a regional visioning document. During our engagement, we hammered home the idea that their input is shaping the very future that they seek to live in. We find that engagement increases significantly when stakeholders are invited to shape the long-term vision of the region rather than simply providing feedback on projects that have already been defined. So this is individual project feedback versus regional foresight. People are more motivated to contribute when they can influence the future of their community before the plans are set in stone. And I think we see a little bit of this here in some of the engagement numbers. So this is from our engagement page. We had over 1,700 views on our engagement page with 1,014 visits. We have 719 unique visitors to the website and 121 contributions. So this is how many people that actually responded to the survey. Overwhelmingly, mode shift was the chosen scenario among our engagement respondents. So to the tune of about 90% of our respondents chose mode shift as their number one preferred scenario out of the four. Common themes include reducing funding for highway projects, citing fears for induced demand, sprawl, and overall safety concerns. Themes also include increased support for active transportation and transit infrastructure. There were also doubts that highway projects were even effective at all. The feedback was consistent and directional in that there needs to be more emphasis on non-highway projects, and further emphasis on safety, sustainability, and equity goals. Along this process, we've had to adjust how we even describe our highway projects to the public. The amount of highway projects has generally been a point of contention, as investment packages allocate anywhere between 60 to 70% to highway projects. We've had to emphasize that many of our highway projects have safety components to them. For instance, many of our interchange improvements, interchange modifications, and auxiliary lane projects scored very high in reducing fatal and serious injury crashes. We've also had to emphasize that our highway projects are also multimodal, have multimodal components as well, and are coupled with pedestrian signaling and adjacent shared use paths in many instances. Moreover, we've had to emphasize that the vast majority of travel and freight movement regionally happens on our highways. Therefore, we have a responsibility to keep these users safe and the supply chain moving in the most efficient way possible. The next piece of our investment scenario selection process was the feedback from the advisory work group. We conducted one-on-one interviews with localities with the investment package project list and story map as key material for discussion. The business as usual scenario was the highest voted scenario. This scenario had the highest number of projects at 133 projects, which provided the greatest opportunity for project trade-offs if need be. There were also a relatively high number of transit and active transportation projects within this project set as well. 90% of active transportation projects in the universe of projects were funded in this scenario. and 71% of transit projects were funded in the scenario as well. A close second, according to the advisory board, was the mode shift scenario because it had a higher percentage of bike ped transit and TDM projects. So to get to a consensus project list, we needed to refine the four scenarios down to one based on feedback from the public and advisory work group. Mode shift was overwhelmingly preferred scenario according to the public engagement. Our traditional split was the preferred scenario by the advisory work group. From here, we focus our consensus scenario discussion on these two scenarios as a starting point for refinement. At the advisory work group meeting on April 8th, we identified the projects that were present in each scenario and continued to refine the list down. The group applied a readiness filter to assess if projects were prepared to receive funding and available time bands. We also removed projects if they were either duplicate or had already committed funding or were not fiscally constrained. So after about 2 hours of negotiations, the group agreed on a list that met fiscal constraint requirements. Overall, this list consists of 121 projects. As we look at the breakdown of projects by mode, while the majority of projects are highway projects, we still see relative modal diversity in our project set. Pay particular attention to the active transportation, transit, and travel demand management breakdowns. We fund 100% of all active transportation projects needs in our entire universe of projects. We fund almost 65% of transit projects from our original project set. And we fund over 62% of parking rides from our needs assessment. Overall, while we have maintained a 70-30 split of highway and non-highway projects, we were still able to program a relatively large number of non-highway projects. As such, a lot of our highway projects took a hit. And if you look at the percentage of projects by mode, we're only funding about 61% of the highway needs in the region. So we want to make it clear that this is a very diverse project list when it comes to highway versus multimodal projects. Once we've gotten to the project list, the projects must collectively contribute to air quality goals under the Clean Air Act. Transportation projects cannot cause any new air quality violations or worsen existing ones. So we must make sure the list is meeting air quality conformity from a federal standpoint. So the action here today is to approve the constrained list of projects for the 2050 LRTP and authorize the Transportation Advisory Committee to review, to start the open public period for the draft regional air quality conformity assessment. I want to open the floor up to any questions or concerns.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Policy Board, are there any questions of Mr. Allen? Ms. Schneider?
So again, the people that were advocating for us to go with the mode, that's not, we've gotten as close to that as we can is with allocating the dollars based on what was.
Yes.
Correct.
So the point here is that a lot of the highway projects did take a hit when we did the trade-offs originally with the advisory work group. So we wanted to make sure that we had that balance and modal emphasis.
And for those of you that the constrained list is actually on your packet. If you hit the QR code, the 121 are online, so you can look at the actual details behind the projects. I think I saw a question. Was it Mr. Carroll? Did you have a question?
Sorry, I answered it. Where can we find the list of projects?
So yeah, so in your packet, under item B1, if you hit the QR code, the draft constrained plan project list is there. And so if you can hit that and it's on your phone or on your device out there, there are 121 color coded list out there. And that's online as well.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Lau.
If we went back, well, I was going to say one slide, but we've gone to
Oh,
the
keep
list.
going. The consolidated list.
There was a requirement that we not have a negative impact on air quality, but any additional vehicles on the system are going to impact air quality negatively. And I'm not sure, is there a conflict there that if we do things that do increase traffic, that we're going to impact negatively air quality, and yet we're not supposed to impact air quality negatively. Am I overthinking this, which happens a lot?
I wouldn't say you were overthinking it. We did
All right,
run
we
a lot
can
of,
move on then.
we did model a lot of our highway projects through our Richmond Tri-Cities model, and we wanted to make sure as part of our performance measures that we did address air quality within those projects.
Okay, all right, I just. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Brennan?
So, on one hand, I heard that we did all the active transportation projects that we could. Nevertheless, it seems like this compromise plan is different from the mode shift plan. So in what ways is it different from the mode shift plan? Like in what ways is it different?
So for the most part, it is the modal shift. I mean, it's the modal split. So we are still allocating about 70% of our money to highway projects. But within that, we still want to emphasize that those highway projects do have multimodal components. So at the end of the day, we're still trying to address that modal split as well, and having that diversification in the modal split.
Oh, wow.
Any other questions from the policy board? So I do need the resolution is in your packet, and I do need a motion to approve the resolution. So moved by Mr. Moyer, seconded by Dr. Newbill. Any other discussion on this item? All those in favor of the resolution?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Unopposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Resolution passed.
Thank you.
Okay, that's good. Okay, moving on. Thank you, Will Heller. Regional funding. Morning.
All right, good morning. 1 second, let me get this shared. Let's see here. That's not what I want. Why did you do that? You've never done that before. All right, well. All right, sorry, I think I'll just also get the behind the scenes view today. All right, so thank you so much, Mr. Chair. The first item I am bringing to you today involves the request from DRPT to amend the TIF to include FTA 5310 funding into selected projects. So the projects being presented today are within the authorized projects phase of our transportation planning process. To remind the board, projects that have made it to this phase are those that have already been funded or have been created to identify an issue or solution and to prioritize those solutions. So, as I've said, this amendment is being requested by DRPT, and it will update 5310 funding for these 9 projects on the right-hand side of your screen. Of these projects, do you have the fancy? Excellent. If you know how to fix it, I will happily let you do it. So usually when I do that, it shows me exactly what I want. So a brief pause for some technical expertise.
You
understand why you're wearing shoes. Sorry.
Thanks for drawing attention.
Anyone can take a picture.
I appreciate it.
I would appreciate that.
Thank you.
Sorry about that, y'all.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, okay. So the 50. Oh, thank you for letting me know that I was not.
I guess we gotta revisit that dress code thing, don't we?
Yeah.
I think so. I didn't know we had one.
Going to Special Olympics events.
Yeah. So, well, I wish them luck. So.
Oh,
Did he tell you what?
okay. Well, sometimes, let's see.
That's so cool. So cool.
Okay,
Sometimes
back
you
on
just turn
schedule.
it off, turn it back on, and it works.
Good.
All right, the
Okay.
classic fix. All right, so as I said, the amendment is being requested by DRPT to update 5310 funding for the 9 projects that are on the right-hand side of your screen. So of these projects, 8 are previously existing, and then 1 PCSS 002 is new. So these projects have been determined to be exempt from air quality conformity under the mass transit categories for operating assistance to transit agencies and for the purchase of new buses to replace existing vehicles or for minor expansions. So each of these projects are funded through a combination of local, state, and federal 5310 funding, with one caveat that GRTC 060 also has some 5307 funding in addition to the 5310. So the 5310 program provides funding to assist local transit agencies, governments, and nonprofit groups in meeting the needs of seniors and people with disabilities. And the 5307 program provides funding to states and local recipients for transit capital and operating assistance, as well as transportation-related planning in urbanized areas. So these projects will fall into one of the 4 following categories of eligible use. We have operating assistance, vehicle acquisition, mobility management, and then the capital cost of contracting. So for the sake of brevity, I am not going to present all 9 of the tip blocks to y'all today. If you are interested in seeing them, we have included them in our packets. So the next 2 slides highlight the project categories that these 5310 recipients fall under. Let's Go Services, Inc. and the Span Center each receive 5310 funding for operating assistance. And Let's Go Services, Inc. and the Chesterfield Community Service Board receive 5310 funding to assist with acquiring new ADA accessible vehicles for their paratransit service. So as you can see, the capital cost of contracting is the category that has the greatest number of projects. So the Chesterfield County and the Chesterfield County, the Powhatan County Department of Social Services, as well as Hanover Dash are each using their 5310 funding to assist with the capital cost of contracting for their services across the area. And finally, GRTC, as well as the Span Center, are using their funding to assist with mobility management. All 9 of these projects have at least 88% of state and federal funding, with a majority of the projects having 90% or more state and federal funding. So today we are asking the policy board to accept the technical advisory committee's recommendation and approve DRPT's proposed tip amendments. A draft resolution of approval is included on your packets on page 33, and I will pause for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the policy board?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Lyle.
We trespassed unduly on GRTC's good graces to talk about microtransit, and there was a sliding scale that the first year it had very aggressive federal or local funding. Does that decrease and that the localities will be taking on more responsibility as these programs, or is this a one-off? I need to ask my question more clearly.
No,
I saw $1,900,000, I think, for Hanover's Dash, and I did not know if that was a one-time expenditure that they would receive, or if they will be assuming more responsibility as that program continues.
what? Explain what Dash. Yes.
Will, I can answer that.
Okay, thank you, Wood.
Hudson.
So there, this is from a federal program. What you all have been receiving is our TRIP program monies. The federal program 5310 is specific to provide service to groups that are focused on enhanced mobility for seniors and persons with disabilities. So it's eligibility bound, and our funding for that program, we assign out that $5310 as well as some state money, is based on applications, availability, scoring, but it only covers activities that are eligible for 5310 services. So microtransit that is general public and open to the everybody falls into a different category than that. So that's why you're seeing different match rates for that program. I hope that answers your question.
So what happens in year 2?
Depending on the award, if it's capital or operating, the requesting agency will reapply to the program, and based on what money is available in that program, their application will be reviewed. So there is no change in that match unless availability of funds decreases in the program and we need to spread it across more eligible recipients.
All right.
Additionally, the 5310 program assigns money at a sub-state level. So there's urban, there's rural, and then there's also money that goes directly to, or that's assigned to DRPT to assign to specific urbanized areas, which requires constant balancing of how we award these funds.
Thank you, Chair. I think we have a sidebar conversation coming up after.
Ms. Schiffel, do you want
Yeah,
to add anything?
take a stab at maybe repeating in a different way. The projects that we'll reviewed today are operated by the recipients. These are grant dollars that these recipients have applied for that DRPT is allocated. When the demand exceeds the dollars that are available, the operator, the county or the provider has to figure out how to reconcile that. And that may result in a cap of service available to provide, or it may result in an increased contribution of funding, so that's a little bit of a different way of saying what Wood said about the match kind of changing. But these are awards that are considered on a annual basis. And so it's not a one-time infusion of money, but it is it is an opportunity to continue to apply, but not a guarantee of year 2 funding.
And again,
Yeah.
I have been teed up. I know what I need to do next, and that's not trespassing everybody else's time here.
Oh, no, your feet, sir.
I think most of the time when you ask the question, other people are curious too.
Yeah.
Well, I'll take one for the team. But thank you for that. I have work to do. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the group? Again, same thing, I'll say it again, but the QR code is there if you want to see the project blocks. Do need a motion on the TIP amendment requested by DRPT. So moved by Ms. Schneider, seconded by properly seconded by Dr. Newbill. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Let's have it. Okay, thank you. We'll continue on. Section C2 in your packet, folks.
All right, thank you again, Mr. Chair. So my next item I'm bringing to you all today is a walkthrough of the FY27, FY30 Transportation Improvement Program. So again, in our transportation planning process, we are in the authorized project phase of our wheel. So I'm going to take a step back quickly and give a brief reminder of what the TIP is. So the TIP is a federally required 4-year planning document that lists all transportation projects seeking federal funding in our region. It is fully coordinated with the Long Range Transportation Plan, as well as the statewide TIP. And it's developed in partnership with state, regional, and local agencies. So more specifically about our FY27-30 TIP update, it was developed with VDOT, DRPT, GRTC, and regional human service providers. It is organized by jurisdiction and the unique project UPC and STIP IDs. These IDs are assigned to projects by VDOT and DRPT and allow us to track projects from the start to the finish. This document is also organized into 2 main project sections. So you have grouped projects, which contain many similar types of projects organized together into overarching project categories like construction, maintenance, and transit. And then we also have the ungrouped project section, which contains individually listed projects. So we don't make this document for it to be in a vacuum. We have worked to ensure the TIP remains easily accessible through our website with a searchable list of projects. And this same practice will continue as we swap from the current FY24-27 TIP to the new FY27-30 TIP. The draft TIP includes staff recommendation and federal self-certification, and it was released for public comment on March 12th. So as I said, we open our draft FY27-30 TIP for public review on March 12th, and it ran through April 13th. Outreach included notices in regional newspapers and an in-person opportunity to view TIP projects and speak with Plan RVA staff at the Pathways to the Future Regional Symposium. The draft TIP was also available online through our TIP engagement website. So at the end of the public engagement period, the document received 10 comments. I do want to take a second and address some of the possible whys about how we got to the 10 comments. So first, the last time we did this in 2023, when we were bringing the policy board, what is now our current FY 24-27 tip, we only received 3 comments. So having 10 comments for this go actually represents a 233% increase in comments. So small numbers, big percentages. A possible reason why engagement on the tip is a little bit lower than, for example, engagement on the LRTP. It's a bit easier to get people to sort of put on their big, like, imaginative thinking caps and project out 25 years. It's a little bit more difficult to get people to think more in the near term. And also by the time the tip document is put together and taken to the public for comment, the transportation projects have already been through public review in earlier stages of the process. So being able to distill the tip in what is a very technical, high-level, multi-year process into something simple for any member of the public to understand is a challenging needle to thread. It is something that we as an agency are continuing to think through, and we will be actively working to improve on our process through our recently awarded prioritization process pilot program grant. So public comments show strong enthusiasm for transit and active transportation investments, particularly GRTC projects, the Pulse expansions, and trail and sidewalk improvements. Respondents consistently value projects that improve safety and expand mobility options, as well as help reduce reliance on single occupancy vehicles. There was also significant concern about continued highway widening and major expansions, especially in growth areas like Short Pump. A lot of the commenters cited induced demand, sprawl, high cost, and then long-term maintenance burdens as the reason that these investments didn't feel congruent with regional goals. So with all of that in mind, today we are asking the policy board to accept the technical advisory committee's recommendation and approve the draft FY27 FY30 tip. A draft resolution of approval is included in your packets on page 37, and I'll pause again for any questions.
Thank you very much. Again, the packet, it's 100 pages that's there. So we didn't print that, but you can find that online. I really like how it's the grouping of projects is done. So they list all the projects and they kind of group them by project type. So I really like how that's done. It's easy to navigate. And I think someone said this earlier, but this is for the next 3 years, like for localities is your CIP for the next 3 years, similar fashion. So any questions for Will Heller on this policy group? No questions? Seeing none, I do have a resolution that would like to approve. Need a motion? So moved by Mr. Patterson, seconded by Ms. Schneider. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. And one more.
All right.
Go ahead.
So thank you again. This is my
C3.
final item that I'm bringing to y'all today. Walkthrough of the draft FY27 32 allocations plan. So these projects are actually in the fund project phase of our planning process. We wanted to make sure you knew that it actually could go outside of authorized project. So now it's in funding. So this slide summarizes existing project commitments funded through RSTP and CMAQ. These are previously approved projects for ride finders and across Chesterfield, Henrico, and Richmond, and they must be carried forward into the new allocation period. So in total, we are carrying just over 10.7 million in RSTP commitments and about 8.3 million in CMAQ commitments. These existing obligations reduce the amount of funding that is available for new projects. So the table that we have here highlights the difference in project expenditures and the total available funding. This shows the funding broken down into the 3 funding categories, STBG, CMAQ, and CRP. After taking away the previously committed funds, we are left with around 34.7 million in STBG, 9.8 million in CMAQ, and then just shy of 6 million in the CRP. These remaining balances are then used to fund the upcoming draft set of new projects on the next table. So, as promised, this table presents the draft list of 10 new projects proposed for the funding between FY27 and FY32. This list reflects a mix of roadway improvements, transit investments, pedestrian connections, and system management projects across the region. Several projects leverage local or partner funding, while others are fully funded through federal sources. Large investments include the GRTC North-South BRT, as well as regional signal and smart infrastructure upgrades. So we've looked at the existing projects, we've looked at the new projects, and now we are going to bring it all together. This side shows the total available funding, existing commitments, and new project expenditures, and the remaining balances across all the programs. So all in all, this represents a total of about $70.8 million in available funding, with a little over 19 million for existing projects and about 42.2 million programmed for the new projects. The plan remains fiscally constrained while still retaining unallocated STBG funds as a buffer. So to conclude my presentation today, we are asking the policy board to accept the technical advisory committee's recommendation to approve the award of RRTPO sub-allocated funding to existing and new projects. A draft resolution of approval is included on your packets on page 46. And I will pause for any questions.
Thank you. The largest you did reference on there, the largest was for GRTC, the largest of funding, I think it was like $14 million. That
feels right.
Is that correct? Yeah, GRTC North-South, BRT. Yeah, thank you. Any questions? Yes, Ms. Schneider.
Our staff, so I'm just double checking. Our staff said something about we didn't get any new ones approved, but there was some additional funding added. Is that somewhere in here on this, or do I have to go into the actual document? QR codes.
That we didn't get new projects?
We didn't, in Chesterfield, did not get any of the new project, but there were allocations of additional funding for already approved plans.
It'd be in the existing projects that are carrying over.
Okay, thank you.
Is that correct? Am I saying that? Am I answering?
Yes, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Mr. Patterson.
Yeah, on page 43, that first chart, is that a continuation of the chart that's on 42? Emergency vehicle?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I.
On page,
His packet is numbered.
oh, okay.
Under C3.
You're missing 42.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's in second.
This is. Oh, there you go. Oh, wait. Yeah. This is the third. This is the. That's the next.
Come on.
No, go ahead.
Item C3, page 43.
Yeah. I have the same one.
Oh, okay, yeah, where you got it. Yeah, that blank line right there at the chart. That just continuation of.
Oh, yes, I think that's just the way that's printed.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, the signal optimization.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's just the way that's printed.
Yes.
Yeah, just print it on the print. Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you. Good odds. Seeing no, any other questions? Seeing none, I do need a motion to approve this resolution.
So moved.
So moved by Dr. Newbill,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Moyer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion is passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Riggin, C4. Good morning, sir.
Morning, thank you. While I'm calling this up, I want to totally confess that I probably jinxed Will into having that problem happen with the slide. Try to avoid the same. I just have one, and it is available on page 50. It's item C4. There is a chart, which I have in my hand, very tiny print. That's why we had to include it online instead of present it here. But the chart is linked in the agenda. This is the fiscal year 27-28 transportation alternatives project rankings. Yes, and I'm Bill Riggin. I'm a transportation planner here. So the Transportation Alternatives Program is funded as a funding dedicated primarily to bicycle and pedestrian projects. It works on a 2-year cycle. Both the RRTPO and Commonwealth Transportation Board member select projects, which again is through the project list we have available. There's 4.7 million available for us to choose from, and then another 4 million through the CTB member. So we staff coordinated with VDOT and the Creator PDC and the CTB member to review the projects. There were projects that are outside of our area as well that are the CTB member can choose from. But the staff recommended approach is to approve a priority list and allow maximum flexibility for the CTB member to select projects from within the region. There were 13 projects in total, including 5 from Richmond, 4 from Chesterfield, 2 Henrico, 1 Hanover, and 1 Powhatan. So as we went through this process, these 5 projects rose to the top through the scoring. Have them mapped there, but I won't go through all the names. I'll probably trip through too many of them, but we spread it around the region a little bit, but they were there because of scoring. The process, VDOT scores these, and then we receive them. This first part here, we're describing all of these projects. If they were listed on our proposed projects list, they get a different set of points. As you see that regional value there on the right. We recently, last year, voted on adding spines and spurs, local spurs as points within this scoring process. So those add to the overall statewide score that VDOT approves, or I'm sorry, not approves, but the process they go through. And then also equity emphasis areas are a consideration. So that adds it to that total score and led to us getting the list as you can see. So the requested action for the Technical Advisory Committee recommends approval of the Transportation Alternative Set Aside Project Prioritization. Project selection will be coordinated within the Commonwealth Transportation Board to maximize funding for regional projects, and staff will report back on the final outcomes. So the 5 projects that we have are currently at the top. The CTB member could actually choose from those, and we would essentially drop down to the next item on the list in the process, as long as we can fit all of that within the funding that we have. So like I said, that's on page 50. And if there's any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Are there any questions? So great, again, good project list for the next 2 years. Seeing no questions, I do need yes, sir, Mr.
I was gonna make a comment. I just want to affirm my support for these projects because like pedestrian safety and transit access has been a major priority for the city. So I'm glad to see some strategic projects, especially in some of our, previously underinvested communities here. So I'm glad to see that.
Excellent. Thank you for the comment.
Oh, so I moved that we approve.
And I second.
Been properly moved by Ms. Bretton and seconded by Ms. Schneider. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Reagan.
Thank you.
And our last item under C5, GRTC, the Regional Public Transportation Plan.
Thanks. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. All right.
Good morning.
I'm Patricia Robinson. I'm the Assistant Director of Planning and Scheduling at GRTC. Oh, this is very sensitive. Okay. All right. Fast enough. Be very careful when I touch that. What I have for you today is our FY27 Regional Public Transportation Plan. This is a state legislation requirement that GRTC collaborates with TPO to create this annual requirement outlining how GRTC plans to spend CVTA funds for the upcoming fiscal year. So I just want to do a couple of quick steps to look back at what we did for 26, what the upcoming priorities are for 27, and this is a action item that would end with endorsement from the policy board, or request endorsement from the policy board. This plan. For FY '26, GRTC used 28.6 million to maintain transit operations and levels of service, 250,000 for planning studies, and 1.2 million to match capital grant funds for capital and technical assistance for fleet replacement, facility improvement, security, and technology upgrades. Those are just a few of what we did. We also prioritized replacing 2 limited service fixed routes with low trips and low utilization with microtransit. So this creates a larger service area for one-seat rides, on-demand service that's curb to curb over a greater span of hours, while both zones also keep connectivity to GRTC's fixed route network as well. For FY '27, we're gonna kind of follow suit for '26, and as we've done in years past, maintaining transit operations at 31.2 million. Prioritizing restoration of service, there was a 7% reduction in service in February, surrounded by operator workforce challenges. So the '27 goal is to evaluate those services and prioritize their reinstatement based on operator availability as people are onboarded. And then to use 21 million in the matching funds for our capital grant matches. The table below puts all of our projects into the appropriate categories, and then our overall operating expenses is proposed at 92 million.
Other questions, Chair?
Oh, sorry. Ms. Schneider has a question. Go ahead.
Is the 44 million for the service expansion, I would assume that the Pulse expansion has a lot to do with it, or yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And then just to show the steps of where this plan has been and its phases of development and adoption process is that we've worked with the TPO and jurisdictions to get feedback, doing budget prep, preparing for grant applications. Earlier this month, it was recommended by TPO TAC as well as GRC Board of Directors. Following endorsement from this group, it would then go to CBTA Finance, TAC, and full authority. And then our final. So the overall action item for this is that, sorry, sliding. Is that GRTC continues its practice of using funds that are accrued in the previous fiscal year for the next fiscal year's operations. So the estimated total for 26, the end of June, is 35.1 million. GRTC is asking to spend 33.2 of the CBTA funds to maintain those levels of service and grant matches. Putting that 2 million difference in the restricted reserve for future use, and then putting all of FY '27's funds that are accrued into restricted reserve as well to be used for FY '28. So the action item is requested today is endorsement of the '27 policy, our regional public transportation plan, and from the policy board, based on the recommendation from the technical advisory committee as well.
Thank you for the update. So just for those of 15% of CBTA money goes to GRTC. The request today is that, well, the state law requires GRTC to brief this policy board and get our approval on how that money is spent. And that is the action item in front of us today. So are there any questions for GRTC from this policy board? And I know there are some members here that are also on CBTA, which I'm not, but I know you all know what's going on as well in this. So any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
As a designated ask for everybody question.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Could you go back one slide? I was just doing sequencing where I thought the TAC is going to kick in after
the CBTA.
Yeah, okay, I did not see the finance part. I just thought the CBTA was approving it and then the TAC was going to kick in. I thought, well,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I missed the words finance. Thank you.
Any other questions, policy board?
Mr. Chair, I can
Yes,
just add
sir.
to that. You know, with the CBTA, normally what we do is we'll hear it in finance. See if we need to make it, if there's any recommendation or changes, we may send it back to TAC for discussion. for the liberation. If there's none, then when it comes back to CVTA, we can approve.
All right.
But
Yeah, it's
the
just,
process that we use to
and that makes sense.
any
Not
changes
making
or
word
corrections if necessary. Usually there's none, but you never know.
Okay, seeing no other questions, do need a motion to approve the motion, to approve the resolution. Moved by Reverend Cooper, seconded by Dr. Newbill.
I think that Kevin said.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Mr. Carroll,
Usually louder, so I'm.
Mr. Carroll. It has been properly moved by Mr. Carroll and seconded by Dr. Newbill.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mr. made the motion, seconded by
Okay.
Mr. Carroll.
But I'll share that.
I
with Dr.
apologize.
Newbill. I don't have a problem with that.
No.
My chair from Henrico County, I do apologize, Mr. Chair.
There you go.
Any more coffee, Jody?
The coffee. It's been a long meeting so far. It has been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Anyone opposed? See how I did that? Okay, moving on. We're gonna take a little privilege here and we're gonna insert, someone has to, I think Mr. Totten has to leave a little early, so I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Totten for an update, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just want to highlight a couple of things for the good of the group. Thought it's worthy of sharing. As mentioned by the director earlier, please feel free to join our 6-year plan public hearing in April down at the district office. If you haven't been there, it's a beautiful facility. You're certainly more than welcome to come. We expect a full house. Just for awareness, we're currently, the projects under development between our local partners and those managed by VDOT constitute about a $3.5 billion investment to the region between the two programs, not counting locally funded projects that have no state or federal dollars on them. So this will be the spring update, and it's a great opportunity for local governments to come in and support projects that are either in process or in the plan already. And it's normally a good event. So we look forward to seeing many of you there. The other item, just for the good of the group this week, you may have seen or heard is what's affectionately called National Work Zone Awareness Week. Work Zone Awareness Week began in VDOT's Bristol district in 1997, and it was adopted at a national level in 2000, and all 50 states acknowledged this week as National Work Zone Awareness Week. As a frame of reference, this year's slogan, if you will, or catchphrase is safe actions save lives. We are encouraging motorists to make great decisions when they go through our work zones. That's putting the phone down, that's slowing down to appropriate speeds, that's focusing on the road, with the reinforcing message that those folks that work in those work zones, whether it's contractor staff, whether it's local government staff, whether it's VDOT staff, they all want to go home at the end of the day. They are somebody's mother, somebody's brother, somebody's sister, somebody's dad, somebody's grandmother, etc. They're really there to do a job, so we're encouraging motorists to take the appropriate safe action so that ultimately there are lives to be saved. Last year, I believe we had 2 years ago, I believe we had 17 fatalities in work zones. I believe we had 20 last year, somewhere in that general vicinity, and that's 20 too many. Lastly, I'll just share in the Richmond district across the 14 counties on a daily basis, there are approximately 600 work zones in activity. If you have driven on the roads at night, or if you do drive on the roads at night, we do an enormous amount of our work at night, which is even more challenging than during the day. We're very, we work hard to make sure that folks aren't delayed. We make good decisions on when to permit work zones, but it is about 600 a day. I'm sorry, 600 a week. Sorry, not a day, 600 a week. In that same week, we will also manage about 900 traffic incidents on those same roadways. So we are a busy district with lots of things going on, 600 work zones a week, 900 incidents a week, anything from a flat tire to a multi-vehicle crash to an overturned tractor trailer, as an example. So just a friendly reminder, yesterday was Go Orange Day across the state and across the nation. If you go out and search the term Go Orange, you're likely to find a bunch of VDOT folks with pictures
So we just encourage that, that thought as you're driving through our work zones, and making those safe actions to save some lives. And I do appreciate moving up. I did have something unexpected come up, so thank you for allowing me to move up and share these two things. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Totten. Are there any questions? Well, we open it up for questions for Ms. Totten, but just also want to reiterate the safety and thank to all the staff, VDOT, localities, et cetera, like you said, that the great work they do, but be safe out there, everyone. Please protect them, let them go home. Okay, thank you, Mr. Totten. Okay, moving back to your agenda item, we are right on target. Ms. Schickel with the TPO self-certification update.
Thank you. Yeah, this is item D1 in your packet. As Will mentioned, when you approved the 27 to FY30 Tier Institution Improvement Program, there's a companion piece of this action that is to do the self-certification for conformity. We've included in the materials where you can link to the self-certification analysis. This is a questionnaire that we've adopted from Hampton Roads that helps us ensure that we're moving through the requirements. So the action today that's requested is for the policy board to approve this self-certification that will be appended to the TIP and published accordingly.
Ms. Schickel, how does this differ from the Mr. Rucker's, the certification that we went through before earlier this year?
So we are certifying affirmatively that we're following and adhering to these requirements. Mr. Rucker, correct me if I'm wrong, but when Federal Highway and FTA do the evaluation, your certification of us, this is one of the things that you look for in the compliance file to see whether we have met that requirement. So this is us pledging that we are compliant, and then they on the back end every 3 years come back and evaluate whether what we said we did proves to be in place or not.
Right. It also is significant product of your TIP document. When you approve your TIP document, these certification statements that are signed off by, in this case, the chairman of the MPO as well as VDOT district engineer, is then submitted to the state. The state compiles all of the thing in terms of a pizza, right? Where you have various MPOs being the slices of the pizza. And, you've got different programs, product, different ingredients. Each MPO slice represents an MPO tip. Each MPO certifies the tip is consistent with federal statutes, including non-discrimination statutes. Once they certify, that tip is then submitted to the state. The state compiles all those metropolitan tips into the STIP document. Then, of course, you take the rural area, which is another slice. Combine all those, that's the pizza. That is the statewide transportation improvement program. That statewide transportation improvement program is certified again by the Secretary of Transportation, then presented to the Federal Highway Administration, where we have to review and prove and make a Federal Transit review and approve and make a finding. So that's why this certification statement is so significant.
Thank you. We were certified, I think, was it February of last year, this past year, we got our certification of the federal.
And the planning frame, the certification reviews are something that is statutorily required for all large NPOs. And we do consider the findings as part of the finding when we review the TIP document.
Okay.
That's all.
Thank you. Any questions on Ms. Schickel? Yes, Ms. Schneider.
No question. I'm just gonna recommend that we approve it.
Recommend, are you actually making?
I would like to make a motion to approve.
Properly moved by Ms. Schneider. Second by Mr. Patterson. Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Ms. Schickel. Okay, last heavy item here on the unified work plan, Ms. Schickel, page 62, item D2 in your packet.
Thank you. This is item 2, the tail end of your packet. There's a cover memo there that Miles prepared. I'm just going to hit the highlights of the summary. The Unified Planning Work Program, UPWP, is our work plan, as it sounds, for the upcoming fiscal year. It's the allocation of the resources that we receive through Federal Highway Administration, pass through VDOT, and the funding that we receive from Federal Transit Administration, pass through DRPT. Those two grant programs are combined together, unified, if you will, to form the revenue stream to support the activities of the MPO. And we program those resources according to priorities organized around work tasks. Kind of key priorities for this fiscal year include the completion of our core plan, the long-range transportation plan, and the ongoing maintenance of the TIP, the Transportation Improvement Program that you adopted today. Those two are the two primary deliverables. The third kind of major deliverable, the MPO, is the UPWP itself. So these three things sort of go together. If you think about the LRTP is the region's long-term vision for the region. The TIP is how we're going to make that happen. And the UPWP is how we build our annual work to be able to support those other two larger planning documents. In addition to that, we know that the policy boards has had a lot of emphasis over the last few years in transportation safety. Mr. Totten's report and the earlier discussions about infrastructure improvements that you're approving really point to this priority in how you're funding projects and ensuring that safety is a priority in the way that we make funding decisions. The work that we endeavor to do this fiscal year will continue to build on that, but also looking at other ways that we can think about ways that the MPO can be a contributing partner to the ongoing discussion of behavior that leads to safer practices across the region. In addition to that, we've also got, as indicated today in both Dorian and Phil's presentations, this idea of envisioning a multimodal future. So our work program also emphasizes that, and really looking at the different ways that people and goods move about the region through our active transportation, freight, and transit networks. And so that continues to be a major emphasis in how we work to cultivate those projects, incorporate complete streets into roadway projects, et cetera. And then finally, as was just mentioned, we did accomplish our recertification through the federal review this past spring. And so if there are any recommendations, findings, commendations, less so commendations probably, but recommendations or findings that come as a result of that federal certification, we would love to reserve the right to bring those back to you in the form of amendments as necessary to adjust this UPWP. It's about a $3.9 million budget this year. So that's sort of how it shakes out. That's comprised again of 80% federal dollars, a 10% contribution to match, and a 10% local contribution that is derived from membership dues that are collected from the 9 localities. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any, and otherwise this presentation, there was a detailed presentation of the UPWP in review with the Technical Advisory Committee on advice from Technical Advisory Committee and our state and federal partners. We made a few adjustments that don't change the essence of the fourth program, but do seek to provide additional more detail, which is provided kind of in the appendices at the back of the UPWP itemization of conferences and trainings that we plan to take on, inclusion of some more detailed milestones of when we expect to accomplish particular products in the work program. And the TAC did review this and has recommended approval of the fiscal year 2027 Unified Work Program. You approve it today, it will be what on the commission side we incorporate into the overall agency budget and work program that comes to the full commission on June 11th.
Thank you, Ms. Schickel. This document is great at promoting the regional approach that we all take. And I think the 4 priorities that are listed there, the core plans, prioritizing safety, envisioning our multimodal future, and of course the 2026 federal certification that's listed there. Any questions of Ms. Schickel? Yes, Dr. Newman.
Thank you. And especially, certainly all of these areas, but given what's been transpiring in terms of the safety throughout, was just interested, you said here you'll be seeking funding to implement regional messaging. Is that more philanthropic, and have you thought about how we could be helpful?
Yeah, thank you for that. We do have a grant application pending with Virginia's DMV.
Okay.
I think we're still waiting to hear on the outcome of that particular grant application. That would be to be able to support community outreach marketing, kind of a campaign akin to what we've done with emergency preparedness. Our Plan Safe campaign, I know, is time bound. I don't know the other words for it in marketing. So I'll call it that. Also, like our Don't Trash campaign and our outreach work that we do, that we're kicking off with Central Virginia Management. So it's akin to those types of things. We've also been fortunate to get some entree into some of the either foundation facing or kind of corporate contributions for some of our area insurance companies. So we are in the process of navigating the way that an organization like ours can apply to those types of private organizations. Something that Lauren on our team is working on from a funding perspective, and this will be coming to our commission side of things at a later date, is we are limited in our eligibility as a public entity to apply for some types of private funding. And so we're working to navigate that, seeking to identify partners where we're not eligible and looking for some other potential recommendations down the line that we don't need to get into today, but we'll be talking about with the board about the possibility of how to really diversify the funding streams. But kind of all options are on the table and we're working to identify. So if there are leads, if you will, of partners that we haven't thought about yet, we would love to talk with anybody and everybody about that so that we can get that messaging. The MPO planning money is limited in what the eligible uses of those dollars can do. And so as we really think about creative ways to promote this culture of safety across our region, we really do want to think about different funding opportunities that are not our traditional federal grants to expand that activity.
Well, I certainly, if you would share with us.
Sure.
The opportunity and how we can be helpful.
Would love to.
Yeah, that would be.
That's a great suggestion. Okay, any other questions on the unified plan? Again, in your packet, hit the QR code. It's like a 50-page document that's out there. It's really good. So thank you to the staff for putting that together.
Thank you, and all thanks to Miles and his team. I will say this document shows up for you now going forward every month because it's what we report against when we provide the work status report. So in not its full 50-page form, but it is what we have maintained accountability to and report to our funders against over the course of the year.
Okay.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Dr. Newbill. Seconded by Mr. Hilton from Chesterfield. Thank you, sir. All those in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? No, and that motion is passed. Ms. Schickel, would you like to talk about the election of officers, please?
Yeah, our non-binding guidance documents provide a structure for us to move through succession of officers for leadership. The elected officers for the MPO are chair and vice chair. You have an appointed secretary, which is the role of the staff personnel, senior staff personnel for the MPO or commission. That is myself. We are grateful for Henrico and Mr. Rogish for serving as our chair this year. You all might remember that last year we did not elect a vice chair simply because at the time Mr. Hodges was our representative from Ashland and it wasn't an opportune time for him to take on such a leadership position given his illness. And so we are navigating that rotation, have been in consultation with our localities and have identified that Mr. Moyer from New Kent County is ready and willing and available to will be ready and available, especially given his leadership on other things elsewhere in the region, but has agreed to serve as the chair for the upcoming fiscal year. And Mr. Lyle has also agreed to serve as the vice chair in the upcoming fiscal year. And so they would pick up the rotation, which would then, for just knowledge, we talked about this in executive committee, Hanover County would be the next in line to succeed should they feel prepared to do that by the time 2029 rolls around. It is a one-year election and we would be looking for the policy board members to vote to elect Mr. Moyer as chair representing New Kent County and Mr. Lyle as vice chair representing Goochland for fiscal year 2027 for that one-year term. And that would be effective July 1. I know you were wondering that.
No, I knew. So yeah, one more meeting potentially. And having served on other committees with both individuals, I feel very certain that we're in very strong hands moving forward. So With that, we do need a motion to elect Mr. Moyer from Lake County as the chair for next year and serving as vice chair, Mr. Lyle, next year. So moved by
Mr. Carroll.
Mr. Carroll,
Second.
seconded by Dr.
He says
Dipple.
he's ready.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Ayes have it. Congratulations and thank you.
There were 2 minutes.
We didn't hear that.
I know.
It's not in the minutes.
Yes,
It's not in the minutes.
Unanimous support.
Thank you both.
Okay.
Okay, last major item, we have some committee and partner agency reports. And again, we've moved this agenda along, but maybe on the quicker side this time. So, but CTAC, is there someone from CTAC here? I think so, right? Okay. Mr. Rucker, we'll turn it over to the Federals. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing wonderful, thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Good to see everyone as always. I apologize, we did anticipate having the preliminary findings presentation for this board meeting. We need about 2 more weeks to complete the compliance report. So please add us to the agenda for the next meeting to offer you up a preliminary findings report.
Will do. Thank you, sir. Mr. Totten, we've already got an update from him. Anything else from the rail side, Mr. Hudson?
I just have one housekeeping item, and this is more of a reminder to staff that the 5303 applications are due by May 1st.
Okay, staff, yes, May 1st. Thank you. And thank you for the wonderful update on the rail side earlier today, folks. Ms. Torres from GRTC.
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm actually just going to highlight because Mr. Moran did a great job of updating on all of the GRTC items. But with the Western Extension, my understanding is that was the only major project in the state that got funding, and that is at $23 million through the merit program. And that does bring us through 100% design to go all the way to Parham, as well as leaves only a gap of about $16 million for construction. So that is very, very exciting. Also included that is north-south. That brings us a little bit to advancement for engineering as well. So advances that project. And then which is approved through the STBG, that is dedicated lanes for north-south. So a very small chunk towards construction on Chamberlain. And then just want to highlight that the operating included support for microtransit to kind of offset for the rural jurisdiction. So we are excited about that as well. So lots of transit capital and operating investment, and we're excited.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Torres. Any questions for her? Thank you for the update. I don't see Ms. Dean here. Anyone else from RMTA here? No. Okay. Mr. Parsons, CVTA?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one item. If anyone gets home this afternoon or this evening and misses this room, CVTA meets tomorrow morning. I'd invite anyone to come back. Our major action item is to consider our operating budget for next fiscal year.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Any questions? Thanks, Mr. Parsons. Any questions for him? Okay, I'll see you tomorrow morning. Thank you. And Plan RVA, anything, any updates, Ms. Schickel?
I think for the good of the time.
Your yield, short. Okay. Any other items of business? Any other comments for the board? Again, just want to just reiterate, we still have one more potential meeting. June 11th is on the agenda. So as a possibility, and we'll get you on that. It'll follow the Plan RVA meeting if we need to have questions. Thank you all. I enjoy working with everyone regionally. Be safe out there. Meeting adjourned.
Good job, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair.
Thank you for your service.